Imagine walking through the hallowed, hushed halls of a contemporary art museum. The walls are a blinding, clinical white. The air is cool and conditioned. The guards stand like silent sentinels protecting treasures worth millions. You pass solemn oil paintings and imposing bronze statues, objects that demand your reverence but forbid your touch. And then you turn a corner and find something that seems to defy the very logic of the institution. There, spilled casually into a corner where two walls meet, is a shimmering, chaotic mound of color. It looks less like high art and more like a child's birthday party gone wrong, or perhaps a joyous explosion of pure, sugary excess. This is Untitled by the Cuban-American artist Felix Gonzalez-Torres. At first glance, the work presents us with a dazzling visual paradox. It creates a striking friction against the austere, intellectual architecture of the gallery space. The light catches the crinkled cellophane wrappers, fracturing into hundreds of tiny, iridescent stars. Red, silver, blue, green, the colors are aggressively cheerful, evoking the nostalgic, sticky sweetness of childhood. It commands your attention not through grandeur or intimidation, but through a seductive, playful whisper. It begs to be touched. And here lies the most radical element of the piece. You are not only allowed to touch it, you are required to dismantle it. To understand the subversion here, we must look at the art world of the late 1980s and early 1990s. Minimalism was the dominant language. Think of Donald Judd's pristine steel boxes or Carl Andre's perfectly arranged floor tiles. These works were industrial, rigid, and emotionally detached. Gonzalez-Torres appropriates this visual language, the geometric arrangement, the repetition of identical units, the industrial production of the candy itself, but he infuses it with a fragile, organic warmth. He takes the hard edge off minimalism and replaces it with something soft, malleable, and perishable. He transforms the museum from a vault of static relics into a site of active consumption. When you approach the pile, the sensory experience shifts from visual to tactile. You reach down. The crinkle of the wrapper is a sharp, distinct sound in the quiet gallery. You feel the hard, smooth surface of the candy through the plastic. You put it in your pocket, or perhaps you unwrap it right there and place it on your tongue. The taste is sweet, a sudden burst of fruit flavor that dissolves slowly. For a moment, the art is literally inside you, becoming part of your biology. But this act of consumption is a double-edged sword. By taking a piece, you are participating in the erasure of the artwork. You are a thief in the temple, sanctioned by the artist himself. Why call this a portrait? In the traditional sense, a portrait captures the likeness of a sitter, their eyes, the set of their jaw, the clothes they wore. It attempts to freeze time, to preserve a specific moment of existence against the inevitable decay of age. But Gonzalez-Torres gives us no face, no body, no representational image. Instead, he offers us mass and weight. He offers us an abstraction that feels more intimate than a photograph ever could. He presents a body that is defined not by how it looks, but how it can be held, shared, and ultimately how it can disappear. The pile candy is a body waiting to be consumed, a festive offering that hides a profound and melancholic secret within its glittering wrappers. The true devastation of this artwork lies in a single, specific number: 175 pounds. This was not a random figure chosen for aesthetic balance or structural integrity. 175 pounds was the ideal, healthy body weight of Ross Laycock, Felix Gonzalez-Torres' partner and the love of his life. Once you possess this key to the cipher, the pile of candy ceases to be a playful installation and instantaneously transforms into a terrifyingly literal representation of human fragility. The shimmering mound in the corner is no longer just candy. It is a body. It is Ross. To fully grasp the weight, both physical and emotional, of this metaphor, we must transport ourselves back to 1991. The AIDS crisis was decimating the gay community, tearing through cities like New York and Los Angeles with relentless, terrifying speed. It was a plague that didn't just kill, it ravaged. One of the most visible and harrowing symptoms of AIDS is wasting syndrome, or cachexia, where the body cannot absorb nutrients, leading to a rapid, uncontrollable loss of weight and muscle mass. A healthy, vibrant man could be reduced to skin and bone in a matter of months. Gonzalez-Torres created this work while watching Ross fade away. Every visitor who visits the museum and accepts the artist's invitation to take a candy is unwittingly enacting the tragedy of the disease. As the day progresses, the pile diminishes. The perfect weight of 175 pounds is eroded, piece by piece, ounce by ounce. The sculpture literally wastes away before our eyes. The floor, once hidden beneath the abundance of color, begins to reveal itself, barren and cold. There is a shocking intimacy to this process. When you eat the candy, the act changes from a simple treat into a dark communion. You are consuming the body of the beloved. It is a Eucharistic ritual stripped of its divinity, grounded in the harsh reality of mortal loss. The sweetness in your mouth becomes cloying, perhaps even guilty, as you realize your complicity in the disappearance of the subject. You are the virus. You are the passage of time. You are the agent of decay. Yet this disappearance was also a political statement. In the early 90s, the suffering of AIDS victims was largely ignored by the government and polite society. It was a crisis shrouded in silence, shame, and stigma. Bodies were disappearing from neighborhoods, from dance floors, from tables, and the world refused to look. By placing this allegorical body in the center of a prestigious museum, Gonzalez-Torres forced the public to witness the wasting process. He made the invisible visible. He took the private horror of the sickbed and dragged it into the spotlight of the gallery. The genius of the work is how it weaponizes the viewer's desire. We see something pretty and we want it. We take it because we can. And in doing so, we strip the portrait of its substance. It is a brutal critique of how society consumes queer culture while ignoring queer suffering. We devour the vibrancy, the color, and the sweetness, leaving nothing behind but the empty floor. The sculpture creates a tangible void, a negative space where a human being used to stand, making the absence of Ross as palpable and heavy as the candy itself. If the story ended with the disappearance of the candy, Untitled would be a masterpiece of pure tragedy, a somber monument to inevitability and death. But Felix Gonzalez-Torres added one final, crucial stipulation to the artwork's certificate of authenticity, a rule that fundamentally alters its meaning and transforms it from a funeral dirge into a song of eternal life. The museum is contractually obligated to replenish the pile. Every evening after the gallery doors lock and the visitors leave, the art handlers must return with bags of fresh candy. They pour the sweets back into the corner, restoring the pile to its ideal weight of 175 pounds. When the museum opens the next morning, Ross is whole again. He has been resurrected. The ravages of the day, the depletion caused by the public, the metaphorical wasting of the disease, all of it is undone. The body is healed, vibrant, and ready to face the world once more. This cycle of depletion and restoration turns the artwork into a machine of infinite loop. It defies the finality of death. In the real world, Ross Laycock passed away in 1991, the same year this piece was created. Felix followed him in 1996. Their physical bodies are gone, but in the gallery, Ross is granted a kind of immortality that biological life cannot sustain. Unlike a bronze statue that stands rigid against time, only to slowly corrode or be toppled by history, this portrait survives because it changes. It achieves permanence through its own destruction and rebirth. It is a phoenix rising not from ashes, but from cellophane wrappers. We must also consider the viral nature of the work. We usually associate the word virus with destruction, especially in the context of the AIDS epidemic. But Gonzalez-Torres reclaims this mechanism. By encouraging viewers to take the candy away, he ensures that the artwork is not contained within the museum walls. The body of Ross is dispersed out into the world, carried in pockets to other cities, given to children, found in the bottom of purses months later. The memory of his lover spreads like a benign virus, infecting the population not with sickness, but with sweetness and generosity. Ross creates a community of people who have shared in his existence, however briefly. This is the ultimate defiance of the queer artist against a world that wanted to erase him. He proved that love is stronger than the physical vessel that contains it. The pile of candy suggests that, while the body is finite and vulnerable, the essence of a person can be endless if we choose to keep their memory alive. It is a deeply spiritual assertion that we can be put back together. So the next time you see a pile of candy in a museum, remember that you are looking at a ghost story with a hopeful ending. It is a reminder that everything we love will eventually disappear, yes, but if we are diligent, if we care enough to do the work of replenishment, it can also return. The sweetness lingers, the weight is restored, and in the corner of the room, love waits for you, shimmering and new, ready to be discovered all over again.